Hello, today we are doing one of my most favorite patterns ever, the Lowland Kids overalls pattern, with a hack that I use very often, turning it into a dress. So I'm going to be showing you the full process from, creating the pattern and cutting it out and all that stuff. So if you already know all this part, you can skip ahead about 2 minutes. But I start out by tracing out the size that I need, and I trace the top half the same way I always do, and then I kind of mark where the crotch seam would normally start, and then I measured down 2 inches and then just went straight across. So you can see where I did that there. Now this typically ends up a little bit too long, I will admit, but my daughter is just getting so tall. I wanted it to last long, and I figure you can always cut it off later. Now that pattern piece I just put on top is for the lining, so I just mark it on the same piece so I don't have to have two separate pieces, and that just makes it a little bit easier for me. Then once you're done with all your tracing, make sure you add in all the different instructions you need. Go ahead and cut it out. Now I'm also going to show you how you can make this dress reversible if you would like. You can use a very similar method if you're doing the actual overall method. So I'm using two different fabrics. One of them is a stripe, the other is a solid. They coordinate. They're both this like pale pink color. You will need, if you want to make it reversible, you'll need a set of two of each like print or color that you're doing, each fabric. If you are not wanting to make it reversible, then you just need two of the lining and two of the regular. So I'm not cutting any lining because I'm making it reversible, just so you know. So that's why you don't see me cut that out. Here's the other fabric that I'm using. You only see me cut out one, by the way, of each one. That's because I just got kind of like over eager and thought I was done cutting and realized, oh, I only cut one. So anyways, and then you'll need four strips for your straps. And I decided to do two in the solid and two in the stripe. The first step is to sew up your straps. So I'm just putting right sides together, and you're going to sew around three of the sides, leave one end open. And while you're doing that, you can also go ahead and take your body pieces to the serger or sewing machine at the same time. We're just doing the side seams. If you are doing the lining, then you just need to sew the side seams of the lining as well as the side seams of the body. If you're going to do it reversible, side seams of both of them. Once that is sewn up, then we're going to be pulling the straps right side out. This always takes me forever. And then go ahead and make sure you make the ends like pointy by kind of like taking I use scissors or like a pencil or a knitting needle, something so that you can like push out those corner seams. And then while you're at it, go turn on your irons that it's hot, because we're going to be needing these fusible interfacings pretty soon. So the next step, once those side seams are already sewn, is to put in either your lining or your other half of your body, the other body piece, right sides together. So slip it inside like you saw me do. And you're going to kind of line up the bib for the front and the back. And we're just going to sew three sides similar to like we did with the straps. This is something that I do that's a little bit different than how the instructions talk about it, and I think it makes it so much easier. So first do that side part. You can go across the top and do the other side part. I actually like to do the two sides first and then do the front piece across. I just feel like it gets more clean, crisp lines. But as you can see, I did those three sides, and then I left that top part done. Then I went and did my fusible interfacing just to have that done with on the front piece, which is the one that was sewn. So now for the piece, the portion this is the back part that is open still. Now we are going to insert the straps. Now here's why I had you wait. I've had so many issues in the past with these straps, either slipping out or just moving around while I'm sewing. And so I have found that if I get those side parts done first and then insert my strap after, everything goes so much better. So right now I'm testing things out to figure out how do I want them to be. And I want the straps to be contrasting to the body of my overalls. And so that's why I was playing around with it. And now I'm holding them in place how I want them. I'm like, put my hand through so that I knew they were in place. Now they're in there. I'm just going to pull them so that the seams are pulled all the way out. And then I'm just going to set it really snugly up against that outer seam. And that way I know my straps will be all the way on the end and they won't be coming too close. Because if they cinch too far into the middle, it will like kind of choke your child almost when it comes around. So anyway, and once you get them in place, go ahead and stick a pin or use your clips in there. As you can see, I went under to like scoot the strap over. I don't want it to try to pull into the middle at all. Another thing that I do is I like my straps to be like either between an eighth and a quarter of an inch a little bit sticking out so that I know they are there, because another thing I've done before is I've missed the strap when I've tried to sew it across. So I have it poking out instead of like being totally flush for a reason. And then I just actually showed you this time me serging it. The most important thing is making sure you can see the strap at all times, because like I said, it's fallen in before. And then also keeping it as flat as possible that it doesn't get scrunched up. And yeah, so this tip right here, in my opinion, if you learn nothing else, if you do this, the straps in this way, they will come out perfect every time. So trim your threads, and then we're going to go ahead and turn this right side out. You will have that front bib part that I will recommend that you poke out the corners again, and then see how those straps just came out so nicely, and they kind of pull out the corners for you. Step I didn't mention earlier about the lining, if you do a liner piece, is that you can finish the raw edge on the inside and like hem it if you would like to. So that's a step I didn't show because I'm not doing it. I'll be hemming differently with this, but just wanted to throw that out there in case you are going to do a liner. And here you can see how my straps are contrasting to the body piece, and that's how I wanted it to be. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tie my straps into the knot, and I'm going to kind of pin, or like I'll probably use the clip to clip it in place. And then I'm going to go try this on my daughter so I can figure out where to hem it. Oh, another quick tip is that you can top stitch along that upper edge to keep your liner in place if it seems like it's slipping around. So here is where I am just kind of like gonna hem it temporarily as I try it on her so I can see what a normal hem would look like. And if you've never tried to hem something on a toddler, this is what it looks like. It's super fun, and she kept trying to like feed me her toys the whole time. But I played around with a couple different lengths like on either end, and then I had her do things like lift up her hands and spin around, just do different movements so that I could make sure that like, you know, her underwear wasn't going to show, or that she didn't look like she was wearing a potato sack, because that's often what it looks like. And there's Cosmo. Say hi to Cosmo, everybody. And so then once I liked where it was at, I had her give us a bow, and then I took it back to my table, and I stuck 2 pins in the spot where I liked it so that I could remember which one it is. Guess what, you guys? It is 2 inches too long, which is the 2 inches that I gave from off the crotch. But I'm still happy that I had that extra length, because like I said, you just never know how tall your child's going to be. And I'm only cutting off 1.5 inches because I do need that 1/2 inch for hemming. So if you want to like not have too much excess fabric, like, or you know, if you hate wasting that 1.5 inches on the bottom, then maybe only do it 1 inch from the crotch, and that'll probably work out great for you. So now it's time to hem. So what I'm doing here is taking the front and the back pieces, so kind of like you can call it the lining and the front piece, folding them both in by 1/2 inch and then having them meet up. And it's important that you want them to meet as, you know, even as possible at the bottom, so that neither fabric shows through when you are wearing either side. So just make sure it's very even, and once you're done, just kind of check that it's all lined up. I'm taking this to my cover stitch machine. It'll also work great with a double needle. Be aware that one side will have 2 straight lines, the other side will always have either that kind of serged look or the zigzag. And for me, I think it turned out looking a-okay. You probably could get away with a straight stitch, like a top stitch type thing, but I'm just always so weary of using a non-stretch stitch. So here's how it looked in the end, and I liked it. I thought it looked great. And the very, very last step, which can sometimes be intimidating, I know, is a buttonhole. My best tip is get to know your machine. As you can see, I have all these different buttonhole options. The third one in is kind of striped looking. I wish it was a little bit closer up so you could see. What it is like a zigzag buttonhole, and it's meant for knits. So knowing a good buttonhole for knits, as well as using fusible interfacing and then practicing a time or two before. Those are the best things you can do. And I say all that, but this one ended with something went wrong. I had to go fix it halfway through. But the second one worked out great. Now, if you are too scared to use a buttonhole or make a buttonhole at all, you can also just like hand stitch the knot on top of the bib front, and that will work as well. I've done that many times, but also buttonholes aren't that scary because you don't actually cut the hole until the stitching is done, and you can always unstitch it. Well, here we are. This is the end. So here's what it looks like from the solid side, and here it is from the striped side. And I love this reversible look so much. I hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time.